Hey guys, NASCAR Mobile 48 back again. We're back to another NASCAR video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some news story that was, announced probably like a month or a couple months ago that I kind of want to address now as some possibilities. So mostly in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 possible drivers that we could see in the new Project 91 car for 2023. 2022 is already set up for the one race and stuff, but 2023, who are some potential drivers to look at that can drive the number 91 car? Here are my 5 options, but before that, let's discuss about Project 91. Well, for anyone that's late to the party, hopefully you're not, but Trackhouse Racing is looking to bring drivers from other forms of motorsports to NASCAR with Project 91, which is a third part-time entry. So drivers from like IMSA, IndyCar, F1, probably some other motorsports. Justin Marks and Pitbull have continued to show their vision for NASCAR's future with Trackhouse Racing. And so after starting out last season as a single car team with Daniel Suarez as their driver, the Nashville, Tennessee-based team has expanded to 2 cars, giving both Suarez and Ross Chastain a home, and both have earned their first career Cup Series victories this season on road courses. The team's most recent addition, Project 91, is a part-time entry that Marks and the team are feeling to serve as a way for global motorsport competitors to compete in stock car racing. The 2007 F1 World Champ Kimi Raikkonen is set to be their first driver, and Raikkonen is scheduled to be the only driver for the 91 Chevrolet this season, and he's set to make his Cup Series debut in Watkins Glen. Now, even though the car is only set to be run once this year, it is set to see an expanded schedule in 2023 with the global outreach and the desire to expand the Trackhouse Racing Team brand. And so here are my 5 possible drivers who could pilot the number 91 car next season. And number 5, I have Kimi Raikkonen. Again. Now, while the Iceman seemed content with hanging up his Formula 1 fire suit after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last year, Justin Marks made a really good push to bring him back to NASCAR, which is what ultimately led to the announcement that he is set to make his Cup Series debut this season. Raikkonen's NASCAR experience goes back to 2011 after he initially left F1 and drove for Kyle Busch Motorsports in both the Xfinity and Truck Series, and back then he tried his hand at oval racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and respectively he finished those races in 27th and 15th place. So his run at Watkins Glen later this year could be just another one-off, but with Justin Marks' strong selling abilities, he could lure Kimi Raikkonen back for another ride in 2023. And don't forget, with Circuit of the Americas being on the Cup Series schedule, Raikkonen could be tempted to compete at a track where he has won at in F1 before, but in a different car. So we shall see. Now on to number 4. And at number 4, I have Jacques Villeneuve. Now, we all know Jacques Villeneuve made his NASCAR return this season when he qualified for the Daytona 500 in an open car with Team Hesselberg, but he tried to get into the Great American Race once before in 2008 with, I believe it was Bill Davis Racing, but he failed to qualify for that one. So the 51-year-old Canadian was able to add a Daytona 500 start to his resume and join the short list of drivers to compete in both the Indy and Daytona 500, but he was never a threat in the race. In fact, he was already a lap down 15 laps into the race, so his chances of running up front were small, from the start due to his equipment and stuff. And besides, Team Hesselberg have only run, one other race this year, that being the race at Kodo with Loris Hesselman, so their plans for the future aren't quite clear as of now. So hey, just saying, if Villeneuve wants a competitive shot in NASCAR before he's ready to retire from racing, he might need to look elsewhere. I mean, he won the Indy 500 in 95, was the 97 Formula 1 World Champ, so adding a win to the Cup Series could still be on his radar, just saying. And so Trackhouse Racing could give him that option with the 91 Chevy, and they could give him the ability to compete in races other than the Daytona 500 as well. I mean, Villeneuve's best finishes in NASCAR, well, I believe in the 3 Touring Series, are 3rd place finishes at Montreal in 2010 and 2012, and at Road America back in 2011. Now look, I know that we don't run at Montreal anymore, and Road America could be in jeopardy for the Chicago Street Course, but this year's Daytona 500 one-off appearance for Villeneuve was most likely a bucket list type scenario, but if he wants to try his hand one more time in the Cup Series, the 91 Chevy would be his best option next year. And number 3, I have Daniel Ricardo. Now, Ricardo's fondness for NASCAR has been well documented. Going back to his childhood days, like he has shown his fandom for the late Dale Earnhardt, paying homage to the NASCAR Hall of Famer by running the number 3 himself in Formula One. Additionally, Ricardo was able to drive Earnhardt's 1984 Monte Carlo at Circuit of the Americas last year. But Ricardo's desire to compete in NASCAR could present another hill to climb. I mean, his entire career has been spent in open wheel racing, specifically in Formula One, and he currently races for McLaren, with his best finish so far this year being a 6th place finish in Australia, his home track. Now, making the transition from open wheel racing to stock car racing can be quite the challenge, especially when you're rushed. Like, Danica Patrick found a ride pretty quickly in NASCAR, but she was never able to finish a Cup Series race in the top 5 nor make the playoffs. And even Kimi Raikkonen's 2011 appearances took place due to his timely departure from open wheel racing, so it shows that it's going to take some time and you can't really be rushed in if you want to perform good, and we want to see these drivers in these Project 91 cars perform good. And at least be able to compete. I mean, like, come on, seriously. Now, some other names who fall into the black and white scenario, that is the jump from open wheel to stock car racing, are Juan Pablo Montoya and Scott Speed. Montoya is a 2-time winner in the NASCAR Cup Series, but Scott Speed was most likely found in the back of the pack or in the garage by the time the checkered flag fell, and this is the same driver who was technically the last American born driver to race in F1. Now, it does take a mix of time and talent and equipment if an open wheel driver is going to be successful in stock car racing, but with mutual interest, Ricardo and Trackhouse Racing could be quite the pairing. I mean, a road course race would make the most sense with Ricardo's background, but a short track may let him live out his dream of using the bump and run that it has his childhood hero made a living on, so that Dale Earnhardt could be inside and he's just ready to let it out and stuff. So, if the stars align, and if Ricardo is ever going to hop into a NASCAR vehicle, the 91 Chevy seems like the perfect fit for him. At number 2, I have Helio Castroneves. Helio Castroneves has a proven ability to win in just about any vehicle he climbs into, and for that matter. A 4-time Indy 500 winner, Castroneves is not only competing full-time in IndyCar for the first time in 5 years, but he is competing in SRX as well. The Brazilian native was able to score his first SRX win in this year's season opener at Five Flags Speedway, and this man literally entered into the race 23 or 24 hours before the race even started. Like, what the heck? But Castroneves' ability to hop into a stock car and win on a short track wasn't what really fueled the Castroneves to NASCAR steam. That happened because of what he said after his SRX win. When Castroneves was interviewed after the race, he explained that SRX CEO Donald Hawk promised to help him find a NASCAR ride should he win an SRX, and Castroneves had previously stated his desire to compete in NASCAR, specifically the Daytona 500. And so following his SRX win, Hawk seems to be keeping his promise about finding him a ride in NASCAR for next season, as he currently confirmed his conversation with Castroneves and his promise to him on his Twitter account. Now, with Hawk being a former manager at DEI, it's safe to say that he still has connections within the business of stock car racing, so it seemed like a fantasy at first, but it could be very realistic. And what makes this stuff super ironic is that former DEI employee Ty Norris is now the president of Trackhouse, so with a former DEI manager promising Castroneves a ride and a former co-worker at DEI now working at a team looking to add an international driver for next season, the idea of Helio Castroneves competing in the Great American Race in the number 91 car for Trackhouse next year may become a reality. And finally, at number 1, I have my man, Jimmie Johnson. Now, when Jimmie Johnson retired from NASCAR Cup Series competition, it broke my heart. I literally cried for 7 months straight. I died. And I somehow came back to life. But he did so with a plan. He announced before his final season ended that he would head to IndyCar to drive the number 48 Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. In 2021, Johnson only competed in But Johnson's return to NASCAR has been the subject of speculation ever since he stated that he wanted to compete in the Memorial Day double, racing in both the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 in the same day. Now, if Johnson were able to do the Memorial Day double next year, he'd be the first driver since Kurt Busch back in 2014 to attempt it, and the 5th driver overall in history to do it. Last time when Kurt Busch did it, he was able to get a nice solid 6th place finish in the Indy 500, but unfortunately later in the day and the Coke 600, he started 12th and DNF'd in the race after having an engine failure. And it was really weird when Kurt Busch did that, because Johnson now wants to attempt it and stuff. Last time someone did it, Johnson won the Coke 600 later that day to get his 4th and final Coke 600. Now, there are already plenty of connections for Johnson at Trackhouse Racing, which would allow him to make an easy return to the Cup Series. I mean, literally, Trackhouse bought CGR operations in NASCAR last year and stuff, and that's the current team Johnson races for right now in IndyCar. Also, for starters, he couldn't go back to his home at Hendrick Motorsports, as they currently run the maximum allowable total of 4 cars in the Cup Series right now. Additionally, there is the manufacturer connection with Trackhouse Racing, like Rick Hendrick's team being a Chevrolet team. And like I mentioned earlier, Trackhouse Racing bought out Chip Ganassi's NASCAR program after last season, and with Marks having driven for Ganassi in the Xfinity Series, it's safe to say that the ownership connection is there, with Johnson competing for the latter in IndyCar. Now, I know Johnson wouldn't be an international edition like the 4 I already mentioned before, but Marks has said himself that if Johnson were interested in driving the number 91 car in the Coke 600, he would absolutely allow it, so it's a really big possibility here. And Johnson seems to be enjoying his time in IndyCar. I mean, literally just got his best finish on a road course at Mid-Ohio this past weekend, P16, and as he too is living out his childhood dream, but with the strong interest in returning to the sport that put him on the map to begin with, plus the connections and interest on the side of Trackhouse Racing, the number 91 car seems to be the perfect landing spot for Johnson's inevitable NASCAR return. And that will do it for today's video. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. While you're at it, if you guys want to let me know, who do you think will be in the Project 91 car next year in 2023? Maybe like a Max Verstappen, a Colton Herta, Scott Dixon, Lando Norris, an IMSA driver. The possibilities are endless at this point. Also, if you want to check out my gaming channel and my Instagram, link will be down in the description below for both of them. Also, my Instagram on the desktop is just right here, so you can go ahead and click over to the link. And yeah, subscribe to this channel. Like I said, I really do appreciate you guys. And also, if you want to check out my review to Road America's race, the video is right down here. You can check that out. But I will have the review up for Atlanta this upcoming Sunday. Should be a fun race. We'll see if we can get another different winner, but who knows? We'll see and stuff. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. This is NASCAR Mobile 48. Peace out.